everybody, welcome to Emily Kate Made This. I am Emily Kate and I'm coming to you from Berlin in Germany. Welcome to my knitting, sometimes sewing, very rarely sewing YouTube channel. Merry New Year, happy 2025. I know it's been quite a while since I recorded, I think it's been about a month. I was chugging along quite merrily with my Vlogmas videos and then somehow I just stopped recording. I think the thing was I had a couple of projects I wanted to finish and therefore I did them when I was recording my Vlogmas, and then after that I just went into like slowing down, Christmas food prep mode, and then time just got away with me, to be honest. So sorry for the unintentional disappearance. I am back. I'm going to put this tea down. It's black tea. I'm wearing a white dress. This can't go well. So, welcome to my first episode of the year. This episode is going to be about my Make 9, the previous Make 9 of 2024, and my new plans for the year. So I'm having a look at my video that I posted last year in January, and it does appear that I did not make a traditional Make 9. I just did a make list of the things I wanted to make, which is slightly confusing. I'm sure there was a reason that I did that, but me now in 2025, I have no idea. But let's see how I did with this list. So, how did I do with my Make 9, which is apparently a Make like 20. I'm going to start off with all the things I did successfully achieve in 2024 that was on this list. So the first thing I did achieve was my Swedish 1940s bonnet. I should have brought it with me. Let me go get it. Here it is. As expected, I won't go into great details with all of these patterns because I have whole videos dedicated to them and I have the information on my Ravelry page, but I just wanted to show you them. So this is my bonnet. This was a little happy accident. I came across this somehow or another via Instagram and I just love it so much. I do want to change these ties, but that's a story for another day. I wear this all the time when it's cold. Can I get in? Of course there are a few things that I would change if I could, but this pattern was entirely in Swedish. I do not speak Swedish. I tried using AI, I tried using Google Translate, and both of them gave me different information. Then I could not read the chart to save my life. I know I messed up some part of this very early on, and a few Swedish people were looking at the pattern that I showed on the screen and were like, it's so obvious. How do you not see that? I could not see it. So I messed up, yeah, at least 3 times when casting this on, but alas, I did eventually get somewhere. I don't like the bulkiness around the back here. I'm pretty sure I followed the pattern instructions, but if I did this again, I would adjust it so that I didn't have all this bulk at the bottom. But it's fine. It was a bulky, quite a thick yarn. I'm pretty sure this is 3-ply, and I'm also pretty sure it's Swedish wool. Who are you? I'll try and put it down below or on screen or somewhere. But yeah, I love this. I love this so much. And I have another Swedish bonnet in the plans, but we'll get to the plans later. So yes, here we are. First finished object from the list. This one went with me through winter here in Germany, went with me to Sweden because it was cold in April in Stockholm, and I've been wearing it this week as well because it's been snowy. Ooh, love this. So this was a success story. And then what was next? In March, I made my bows on news. I can't show you that because it's in the bedroom and my husband is in a meeting in the bedroom. That sounds weird. On the computer. But I will put a picture or a video here. I love my bows on news jumper. That's a 1940s jumper. I used Drops Nord for that. And I have to admit, I do love wearing that yarn. It's a mix of wool, alpaca and nylon, or I can never say that, polyamide. I was always very dubious because it wasn't completely 100% natural, but it does feel very nice to wear and it's very nice to knit with, and it is non-superwash, so it's warm and helps regulate temperature, and I am not a very good temperature regulator by myself, so it's very nice to have something that helps. It's one of my favourite jumpers. I really love it, and I wanted to use that wool because I'd had it for ages, and I seemed to get into this loop where I used a bit of the wool for something, then I didn't have enough wool, so then I had to buy another skein, but then that project didn't work, so then I turned it into something else, but I needed another ball, and then I was always trying to use up the yarn, but I always had to buy more in order to use it up. So I'm glad I finally managed to use that up, and I love that jumper. So if you want to make that one, highly recommend. It's a lovely one. What else did I do? I did my forest berry, that's behind you. This one, I'll have to write it down when I finish this. This one was on my list for a couple of years. It's Fable Knitwear Forest Berry Jacket. And I love it. I love it. The wool I used is a Swedish brand, but it's New Zealand wool. It's Campus 2-ply in this amazing colour. I love this colour. I bought this yarn in Stockholm in 2023 and then I knitted it up so that I could wear it back to Stockholm in 2024, and I just about managed. And this one is a mock vintage, like it's a vintage inspired, and it was really interesting because you knit from the bottom up and you do a raglan, which I had never done, from bottom up, and then these poofy sleeves. I've only ever made a vintage jumper where I seamed it together, and I've only done a raglan from top down. So this was very exciting. I did originally think I would knit it in the round and do a fake button band because I thought I was going to just wear it as a jumper, but actually I love the fact that I have a cardigan now. I can undo the buttons when I'm too hot. I can easily take it on and off if I've done something specific with my hair. So cardigans, my friends. I need more cardigans in my life. They're a bit of a faff to knit flat, but they're so worth it. My two most worn items, I would say, are this one and my other Swedish cardigan. Swedish wool cardigan, Swedish designer cardigan. So cardigans, I need to make more cardigans. I love this one. Again, highly recommend. If you have had this on your list, definitely make it. This is very vague, it just says Swedish jumper, and I'm not sure what that's referencing. Okay, so going by this list, I don't believe I did any more than that. I did cast on 2 of them. I have the words ski set written down. That is referencing a pair of mittens, mittens, hat and shoes. But I did start the mittens and discovered that it was really hard. I did talk about it extensively, I'm sure, during several episodes that I was talking about these mittens, but I'll try and be brief. Basically, the pattern is a German pattern, from the 40s, and it's very, very small. The chart is very small. It's about this big for the whole mitten, and all the black crosses mean white, knit with white, and all the white boxes mean knit with the contrast colour. This was blowing my mind. It was really difficult to knit with a colour where the white is and knit white where the colour should be in my mind. I tried to chart it out, but I couldn't do it. I know it sounds really silly, but when you're holding colour pencil and you've got a block of paper and you're trying to draw a chart and draw the colour where the white is and leave the white as, I can't even explain it. That's how confused I get. So I didn't manage it. I had two friends who said, I can do it, no problem, and they got also very confused trying to do it. There are several mistakes in the chart in the original pattern. That doesn't help. And I then discovered that it didn't fit me when I managed one mitten, excluding the thumb. I haven't done the thumb yet, but it's too big. So my plan now, what is this doing? My plan now is to finish the mittens and have them as mittens that my husband and my mum can use during the winter when they're here. Obviously my husband is here. When my mum visits, she can wear them here. When she's not here and it's cold, my husband can wear them. But because of that, the enthusiasm is very, 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 very low. But I'm using really nice wool for it, so I really want to finish them. I have used a program on my computer that's inverted the colours. So I'm hoping that will help re-inspire me to be able to continue and finish the second mitten. The second one's cast on. I've done the cuff. I just need to get my head around the colourwork. Oh, and the fact that I have to reverse it all in my head, like, because I was doing, let's say, the left mitten, there's only instructions for the left. I have to reverse it to do the right. So doing that, reversing everything, it's not a pleasurable knit, and therefore I have been procrastinating, but let's hope this year I can do it. The next one that is on this list that I started, my Juliette Slippers. These were started in March when my mum came to visit, and she wanted help to cast on because I know a lot of people, myself included, got very stressed out by the cast on for the slippers. There's a pattern in the 52 Weeks of Socks book by Lina, and what are they called? Elf? Are they elf? Elva? I'll put it here. Those slippers are beautiful, and I was always getting very confused on how to cast on, and so I never did them. Then I got a different pair of slippers by the same knitwear designer and learnt how to cast those on. I made those for me. Then I revisited the original ones from 52 Weeks, figured out how to cast them on, and made those for my husband. My mum saw them and she wanted some, but she wanted help to cast on because it is a bit confusing. So I cast on my Juliette Slippers because they're also by the same designer, so that she could see how I was doing it, so that she could do it. And therefore I cast them on, but I hadn't actually planned to knit them yet. I was just showing her how to cast on. So they were abandoned until about a week ago. And I picked them up again and thought, okay, I'm gonna do this. And then I remembered where I had got to with those slippers and why I had stopped. Because I thought I just cast them on and abandoned them for no reason. There was a reason, in fact. The picture, they're red slippers with white stars, or white sort of stars. And in the pattern it says main colour is, main colour is red. Do all increases in red in your main colour. But then when I looked at the chart, all the increases were done in white. And I was very confused because it also said the main colour was white, even though everywhere else it said it was red. So I contacted the designer, and a week or so later she had replied and said, oh, I knitted them as the main colour being red, but when I did the chart I just changed it and made it white. And therefore my slippers are not the colours I expected, because they're actually white with red stars, which threw me. But I didn't realise that until this past week, when I had got a little bit further in, I discovered that. So they don't look quite as I expected, but they're still going to be fine. I love wearing knitted slippers. I think they're so comfortable, but I do not like knitting them at all. Like, I really don't enjoy the process, because it's quite thick wool on relatively thin needles, and the tension in my hands that I have to hold the needles, it's unpleasant. If you have been around for a while, you'll know, but if you are new, I have a lot of hand pain when I knit. It's just a health thing. It's lack of muscle and various other things. So I have a lot of hand pain. Therefore, if I have to knit something like that, I can only do about 2 or 3 rows a day, and then I can't knit anything else. So it's not the most exciting thing to do, because it stops me from just sitting down and relaxing and knitting. It's more like I want the finished item, therefore I'm going to get through this slowly and painfully. So I will eventually. I'm on the foot part of the slipper now. Once I have managed to finish that, I have to get the motivation to do the second one. But I will do it. Just, I have to get the motivation. So, it seems like that's all I did from this list. But I know that on my actual make 9 on my Ravelry, I have different things on here. So I did do my victory jumper, that's on the list, but I've cast it on and I'm not enjoying knitting it, which is very disheartening, because that is one of the original patterns that I added to my list before I even knew how to knit. I think it's such a beautiful jumper, and I've purchased different yarns through the last 5 years, when I didn't know anything about knitting, when I didn't know about anything about wool, and everything I chose was completely wrong. And now I have chosen the correct yarn, fingering weight, correct colours, and I don't enjoy knitting it at all. I'm hoping this will change. I'm hoping it's just the sleeve, because I started with the sleeve to see my gauge, and I don't really like knitting in the round using magic loop, because you have to move everything around and it's not a fun, smooth experience. And I do prefer knitting jumpers in the round or even flat. But it's that holding the tension when you've got magic loop or even DPNs, just small circumference basically, isn't a comfortable experience and therefore not very enjoyable. Whereas if I knit something flat or big in the round, much more enjoyable. So I'm hoping the body will be the saviour and I will enjoy knitting that, because I don't want to rip it out and not have the jumper. This is something I thought was on my Make 9, and it is on my Make 9 in my Ravelry, but not apparently on my YouTube. That is the Monarch Twinset, and this I made in summer, I think, maybe August. This was a really interesting experience. I feel like in some ways it's kind of cheating because I unintentionally turn them into the Twinset, but nonetheless, it's my knitting. It can't really be cheating. There's no rules. I made the cardigan of this Twinset using my knitting machine that I got in 2024, and I made a couple of mistakes with that one because I set the tension incorrectly on the sleeves, and so they came out really, really tight. I have tried stretching, steaming and stretching, and I think I've helped a little bit with the fit, but I might do it again and really stretch it because it's very, very tight because I did the wrong tension. It's a cardigan that looks really nice, but I don't know where and how and what to wear it with. It might work with something like this. It's a very tight cardigan and it goes right up into the armpits. So as always, everybody, I'm going to share with you stuff, personal stuff. I'm a very sweaty person, so having my knitwear shoved up into my armpits is just not ideal. I don't have great temperature regulation, as mentioned earlier, so I sweat when I'm cold, I sweat when I'm hot, I sweat when I talk, I sweat when I sleep, I sweat when I'm just knitting. It's just my body just doesn't regulate heat. So having it right up in there isn't ideal unless I have something like this that can soak it up. But it's a very tight cardigan, so you can't really have anything there's too much fabric. So it does limit what I can wear it with. And to be honest, I have not worn it since I made it. I wore it once since I made it. And I want to rectify that this year. I want to try to wear it more, and maybe in time with wearing and more washing. Because although I don't tend to wash my knitwear that often, maybe it would help with this one in particular and soften up the fibres. Because it's a beautiful colour. The fit is actually quite nice because it's 1940s, so it's got quite square shoulders, and it's here's a picture. It looks nice. It's just I haven't bonded with it as much as I thought I would. And I did knit in March a stripy tee, and I've worn that a lot, but I tend to wear that over a certain dress, and I tend to only wear that dress on holiday. It's really quite strange. It's like a uniform. I have a holiday uniform where I take the same dress, the same jumper, I take the same clothing and wear that on holiday, and then I come back, it goes in the wardrobe, and then I don't really bring it out again until I go on holiday. But it's a very nice jumper. The only thing is that although it doesn't typically bother me to have stuff at my neck, since I have made other things and I've improved with getting the fit right for my body, and I've used different wools, I've noticed that although it didn't hugely bother me before, now I notice it a lot more, that the wool sits at my neck and it's quite a scratchy wool, and it's a very warm wool, deceivingly warm. It's a very thin yarn, it's woolly knit yarn, very thin but very warm, and so it's a t-shirt that's super warm. So I actually wear it more like a jumper. I would wear it with a dress, even though my sleeves, the sleeve end of it here, I'm warm. So don't tend to wear that over a dress and then have a cardigan because I'd be way too hot. So basically the Twinset looks beautiful, but I don't wear it. This year I'm going to try and fix this. I'm going to try and bond with it. Maybe I will wear that cardigan today. That's an idea. So although that's not on my Make 9 YouTube, it is on my Make 9 on my phone, on Ravelry. I did start the Bestway flower jumper, but that failed due to the yarns not combining properly at all. It was very strange, they didn't work. The twist in the yarns was so different that when I tried to do colour work with them, it did not. It was a total fail. Also, the same issue as with the mittens, that chart, in fact the chart doesn't exist for this jumper, it's all written down in words, not in a chart. So it would say knit 3 black, knit 2 white, knit 3 black, knit 4 white. But it's the opposite way around. I wanted a white background and a colour flower, the flowers to be in a different colour. So when it would say knit 3 black, I actually needed to knit 3 white, and when it said knit 4 white, I needed to do knit 4 colour, and it was not working for me at all. Again, the reversing thing, too difficult, so I have to actually sit down and write it out the opposite way around, then do a chart for it. Didn't start that. I had the waffle jumper on for last year. That one didn't succeed. That I almost cast on. So I did achieve quite a few things, but not all of them. I was going to go through the ones I didn't do, but to be honest, almost all of them are on the list again for 2025. So let me have some tea and we shall get into what are my plans for 2025. Okay, I'm going to just briefly touch on a few that I have mentioned several times because you don't need the ins and outs of the same thing on repeat. So back on the list for 2025 is the Parrot jumper, the Victory jumper, the DDR German colourwork jumper, the Norwegian German colourwork jumper. These are all 1940s patterns that I found in either German magazines or UK. So they are all back on the list. You'll notice heavy on the jumper front. I'm never going to knit all of these jumpers in the 1 year, but I'm just going to keep carrying them until they get made, or if I ever just don't like them for some reason, they will stay with me. So those I've mentioned multiple times, they are chugging along into this year as well. Then I have a couple of new patterns on the list. I don't think I can insert pictures from movies into my YouTube because then the copyright issues arise. So I'm going to send you on a mission. If you have not watched The Imitation Game, have a look for Keira Knightley in Imitation Game. She wears a cardigan, this cardigan, and I saw, I believe, Knitting for Victory and somebody else I follow on Instagram, hopefully here, they made this jumper, cardigan, they recreated this cardigan and I saw it on their Instagrams and it is so beautiful. And I haven't watched The Imitation Game since I learnt to knit, so I've seen the pictures and I have seen the movie, but I haven't watched it again to really enjoy this cardigan. But the mission is to make that cardigan. I don't have any wool for it, so I will not be making that one yet, but it's high on the list because Keira Knightley just looks fantastic in everything, and especially 1940s knitwear, and I want to look like that. I want that cardigan so badly, so that is on the list. Then I also have this Bestway jumper, I believe that's also been on my list for quite some time, come to think of it. That should be included in my I'm not going to talk about it much section, but this one I have talked about several times, and even a few of you have made it since seeing it on my channel, so that's nice. I can live vicariously through your knitting until I eventually make my own. Again, don't have the right yarn for this. I want it to be a beautiful emerald green and white, and I do not own the emerald green colour, so I have to wait, but that is on the list. I have a twin set. Currently, it's like planned / cast on. A Swedish knitting friend of mine on Instagram asked if I wanted to do a little knit along together. So we discussed, we threw some patterns that we both had on our list at each other and saw which one stuck, and we both decided on the Fair Isle cardigan and jumper twin set. Bestway 1480, I think it's called, and 1481. It's an all-over colourwork jumper with short sleeves, and then a cardigan that just has Fair Isle on the top part. So I have gone through my yarn and my leftover bits and pieces, and I found some Ravelry leftovers and some, there's a French company, and I'll have to have a look, but I found the yarn for it, hoping it's enough. And my mum cast on the ribbing for the jumper when she was visiting. My mum cast on the ribbing, so I'm going to do the jumper in the round because it's all over colourwork. I'm going to do that in the round. And once it gets to the armpits and I separate, then I will knit it flat colourwork. But until then, I will enjoy the round and round and round part. And yeah, that's the plan for that one. And then the cardigan will be knitted flat. So the jumper has been cast on, but only by my mum. I haven't touched it yet. To be honest, I haven't really knitted anything in like under 2 weeks, but maybe like 10 days. I haven't really been knitting. I've been so preoccupied with my parents' visit and various other things that I haven't actually knitted anything. But my mum knitted that, so that's cast on and ready to go. So first cast on of the year. What else? Technically this cardigan is back on the list. It's not vintage. It's the Skeindeer jumper Selbu coat. Not jumper. Selbu coat. This coat, the Selbu coat, has been on my list for a couple of years now. I really want to have it, but for some reason it doesn't matter how many times I put the wool out on my desk and say I'm going to do that, I don't pick it up. I just pick something else up. So eventually that will happen, but I can't guarantee it will be this year. But I have the wool, I have the pattern, I just need to cast it on. So that's technically on the list, but I'm not sure if it will get done this year. I have a couple of pairs of slippers that have a different design, like they're not the same designer and they're not knitted in the same way as the other slippers, but I believe they're in Finnish. So that'll be a different challenge for the year to translate Finnish patterns. But they're both on, so this one is Ronja Hakaleto, and I can't pronounce it, so let's put it here. They're Novita, and they are from the Novita website. I'd like to make those. And the other one is also Ronja, and I will put that here. I would like to try and make those as well. So they are on the list. There are a few things, it's not really make 9 if I list all of them. I just put them into this to whenever I feel like I want to cast something on, this would be ideal. There's some mittens, there's some slippers, there's some hat things. Bonnet, that's another one. There's a Swedish bonnet that I mentioned earlier that I want to make this year. And also there's a 1930s swimming costume top section. If you were watching my videos last year, I made a 1930s bikini, but the bikini top didn't really work out. I did wear it to the beach twice, but there's no way I would ever go in the water with that. It was very precariously attached to my bosom, so that's not happening. And I thought it was interesting to learn about my knitting machine and learn how to understand the really complicated 1930s patterns and see if I could figure it out. Don't know if I did, but regardless, although I made it, I already knew when I was making it that I would rip it out, and I want to make, it's like kind of a tank top, but using the same wool to match the shorts, because the shorts are great, but the top, bikini top part wasn't. So I'd like to make that. Hopefully there's a picture, but I do think I need to buy another skein of each colour in order to make that. But that is on the list. I have no idea if that was a make 9 or a make 20, but those are the plans. I know at least one of you has a couple of those items on your make 9, but what about you out there? Are any of these familiar to you? Are any of these on your make 9 for the year? I would like to ask you what your plans are, but I'm nervous that if I find out they'll be added to my list. But I will try and resist. What are your make 9 plans? Let me know in the comments. I'm getting quite good at filling up my SD card. I have 11 minutes left on it, so I think that is a sign for me to wrap this up. I think I covered just about everything I wanted to in this episode. I'm hoping that maybe tomorrow I can continue on my everything I made in a year project video. I cast it on. No, I didn't. I did not cast my video on. I would say around January, no, I'd say around December 30th or something like that, I recorded the beginnings of this video, this everything I made video, and I talked for so long that I made my voice so hoarse and I couldn't really talk properly for 2 days. Then my parents came to visit, so I didn't record anything. And then when I thought about going to continue, I had no idea where I'd got to. I had filled up my SD card, I had used all the battery on my camera, and there was just so much, there was so much content, so much talking, so many projects that I had no desire to record because I didn't know where to start. So I think what I'm going to do is see what that footage looks like, see where I got to, and then potentially separate that video into 2 videos and then post them one after the other, because there was a lot. I talked a lot, and I don't know that anyone could actually sit through and hear that much information in one video. So I think that's what I'll do over the next couple of days. I'll edit this video, hopefully get it up today, and then work on the other video tomorrow and the day after, and see if I can get it out. After all that talking and having several days of not really being able to talk or record, I feel like I should do something with that footage. Okay, so thank you very much for watching, and I will hopefully see you very soon. And let me know what you are planning for 2025. Thank you, bye!